سيدنا محمد عليه السلام صلاة تدوم وتهدى إليه ممار الليالي وطول الدوام. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. يا أكرم الخلق من ألوذ به سواك عند حلول الحادث العامم. ولن يضر رسول الله جاهك به إذا الكريم تجلى باسم منتقم. فإن من جودك الدنيا وضرتها ومن علومك علم اللوح والقلم. يا نفس لا تقنطي من زلة عظمت إن الكبائر في الغفران كالأمم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. لعل رحمة ربي حين يقسمها تأتي على حسب العصيان في القسم. يا ربي واجعل رجائي غير منعكس لديك واجعل حسابي غير منخرم. والطف بعمرك في الدارين إن له صبرا متى تدعوه الأهوال يا هازمي. وذل صحبي صلاة منك دائمة على النبي بمنهل ومنسجم. ما رنحت عذابات الباني ريح صبا وأطراب العيسى حاد العيس بالنظم. مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. ثم الرضا عن أبي بكر وعن عمر وعن علي وعن عثمان ذي الكرم. والآل والصحب ثم التابعين فهم أهل التقى والنقى والحلم والكرم. يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا المسلمين بما يتلون في المسجد الأقصى وفي الحرم بجاه من بيته في طيبة حرم واسمه قسم من أعظم القسم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم وهذه بردة المختار قد ختمت والحمد لله في بدر وفي خاتم أبياتها قد أتت 60 مع 100 فرج بها كربنا يا واسع الكرم فاغفر لناشدها واغفر لقارئها سألتك الخير يا ذا الجود والكرم يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا ما مضى يا واسع الكرم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Today's Khatam is in honor of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. The Prophet of Allah that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned was the best of creation. This was due to his noble lineage. He was the great-grandson of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, the grandson of Prophet Ishaq alayhi salam, and the son of Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. We hold these Khatam Sharifs with the intention that we may receive from Allah's mercy oceans, as Allah Almighty looks favorably on those gatherings where the Salihin are mentioned. There was once a Moroccan king who had a very beautiful daughter. There were many suitors for her hand in marriage, noble kings, princes, affluent people, but the princess rejected proposal after proposal, much to the despair of the king. Now, when her friends asked her for the reason behind all the point-blank refusals, she mentioned it was all due to a particular dream she had experienced. Now, this princess said, "In the dream, I saw a man of such immense beauty that no living soul could compare. He smiled at me, and his handsome appearance increased even more. In that moment, I fell in love with him, and I decided he would be the best person I was going to marry." Having listened to the princess, her friends advised her that it was probably a jinn who had appeared in a beautiful form she had seen. They also warned her that this man of such immense beauty, this man that she saw in the dream, didn't exist. However, all their efforts fell on deaf ears, as she remained steadfast in wanting to only marry this man that she had seen in the dream. Now a year passed by, and then she had a second dream. Now in this dream, she saw the same handsome man again, and she was now certain that this man was not just a figment of her imagination, he was a real man. She was now lust-struck with him, and she was very keen to meet him. So one night, before she went to sleep, she made a plea, and the plea was to know his name. Her plea was answered that same night, and then in that night she had a third dream, in which the man identified himself as the Aziz of Misr, the Prime Minister of Egypt. Meanwhile, throughout the year, she kept receiving marriage proposals, which she continually rejected. Now, time was ticking, and the king obviously wanted his daughter to get married. So after this third dream, the king noticed that she wanted a proposal from the Aziz of Egypt. Now he sent a messenger to Egypt to discuss the marriage proposal with the Aziz. And fortunately, the proposal was accepted. And then the Aziz sent his own representatives with gifts for the king, along with a formal proposal of marriage. The princess was so happy and immediately agreed to the marriage without even seeing the man she was marrying. All she knew in her head was that she was marrying the man of her dreams. When the princess finally reached Egypt, she caught a glimpse of him, and her immense joy, her happiness, turned into immediate despair. As the Aziz of Egypt was not the handsome man she had seen in the dreams. Now obviously she was very, very hurt, extremely hurt, because all this time she had been so determined in her desire to marry the man of her dreams. Allahumma salli ala
Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allah, 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 सबका इमाम हुई बटता है हमारा नूर का सबका इमाम हुई बटता है हमारा नूर का अल्लाह 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 सुबह तैयबा में हुई बटता है हमारा नूर का सुबह तैयबा में हुई बटता है हमारा नूर का सुबह तैयबा में हुई बटता है हमारा नूर का सदका लेने नूर का आया तारा नूर का अल्लाह 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 जो गदा देखो दिए जाता है तोरा नूर का जो गदा देखो दिए जाता है तोरा नूर का जो गदा देखो दिए जाता है तोरा नूर का नूर की सरकार है क्या इस में तोरा नूर صدقہ نور کا اللہ 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 تیری نسل پاک میں ہے بچہ بچہ نور کا تیری نسل پاک میں ہے بچہ بچہ نور کا تیری نسل پاک میں ہے بچہ بچہ نور کا تو ہے عین نور تیرا سب گرانا نور کا اللہ 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 ناریوں کا دور تھا دل جل رہا تھا نور کا ناریوں کا دور تھا دل جل رہا تھا نور کا ناریوں کا دور تھا دل جل رہا تھا نور کا تجھ کو دیکھا ہو گیا ٹھنڈا کلیجہ نور کا اللہ 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 چاند جھک جاتا جدھر انگلی اٹھا لے مہد میں چاند جھک جاتا جدھر انگلی اٹھا دے مہد میں چاند جھک جاتا جدھر انگلی اٹھا دے مہد میں کیا ہی چلتا تھا اشاروں پر کھلونا نور کا اللہ 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 صبح طیبہ میں کوئی بنتا ہے بارہ نور کا اللہ 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 اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم.
Now you will have felt some sympathy for the princess after listening to the unfortunate events that unfolded. And you may be thinking about how her story is linked to Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. Now when you now find out the name of the princess is Zuleika, those feelings of sympathy may just disappear as you now recall the well-known story of how she declared her love to Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, who was her slave, failed in her intentions, and ultimately had him imprisoned. It's an incredible story, one which Allah Almighty describes as the best of all stories. The key error made by Zuleika was not in her actions in these moments. It was when she became obsessed with the dreams that she had seen before marriage and self-interpreted their meanings, shared them with her friends instead of seeking a qualified guide to find out the correct interpretation. Now, this is a mistake we see with most people still make today, where they decide to self-interpret their dreams and decide on a meaning of a dream that suits their ego. And every time when people make this mistake, they share it with everyone. However, the correct interpretation of a dream is necessary for a believer's progression. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam advises us that the dream is not to be narrated except to a knowledgeable person or a sincere advisor. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned that dreams are of three categories. The first type are dreams from Shaitan. Commonly known as nightmares, such dreams often bring a sense of fear, deep confusion, and discomfort. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that if one of you sees a dream that he dislikes, let him spit dryly to his left 3 times and read A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim 3 times, and then change sides from the side he was sleeping on. So that's the first type of dream. The second type of dream is one that a person conjures up subconsciously from their day, especially in those last moments prior to sleep. These are meaningless dreams that hold no sense of logic or value. Now, the third and final kind of dream is a meaningful dream. These dreams are glad tidings from Allah, a divine message, a form of guidance, instruction, or warning. They are the focal point from which one learns to understand the function or purpose of dreams. In his last moments, Rasulullah ﷺ said to the companions, "O people, nothing remains of prophecy except for good dreams, which a Muslim sees or someone else sees about them." Now, this science of interpreting dreams began with Rasulullah ﷺ and continued amongst the Sahaba. One of the earliest books written on this topic was by Imam Muhammad ibn Sharif, rahmatullah alayhi, called The Interpretation of Dreams. A person once came to the Imam and mentioned he had a dream in which he was giving the adhan. The Imam gave him glad tidings and informed him he would be going to Hajj. Now, another person came to the Imam and narrated that he also had a dream in which he was giving the adhan. The Imam said to him, "You are a thief, and you will get caught due to your actions and be punished." So these two people had the same dream, yet completely different interpretations. This is the reason why it is very necessary to have the dream interpreted in the correct way, because we don't have the capacity and knowledge to know the true meaning behind the dreams we experience. Now, returning back to the story of Zuleika and the Prophet Yusuf, alayhi salam. Now, throughout her marriage to the Aziz, she was treated kindly because he was a considerate and compassionate person towards her. After the death of Aziz, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam received a divine message regarding Zuleika. And the instruction was, Allah Almighty wants to reward her for her dedication, so marry her. Arrangements were then made for their marriage, and then Zuleika finally married the man of her dreams. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa sallim. مدد 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 يا سيدي مدد مدد يا رسول الله مدد 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 يا سيدي مدد مدد يا رسول الله مدد يا صديق مدد يا فارسي مدد يا قاسم مدد يا صديق مدد يا بسطامي مدد يا خرقاني مدد 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 يا سيدي مدد مدد يا رسول الله مدد يا فرمدي مدد يا حمداني مدد يا خزارو مدد يا جواني مدد يا عارف مدد يا فغنبي مدد 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 يا سيدي مدد مدد يا
يا رسول الله مدد يا رامتني مدد يا سماسي مدد يا أمير كلاد مدد يا شاهنك شبان مدد يا عطار مدد يا شرفي مدد 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 يا سيدي مدد مدد يا رسول الله مدد يا أحرار مدد يا بخاري مدد يا درويش مدد يا إمكانجي مدد يا بكي بالله مدد يا فاروقي مدد 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 يا سيدي مدد مدد يا رسول الله مدد يا معصوم مدد يا سيف الدين مدد يا بدعوني مدد يا شمس الدين مدد يا دهلاوي مدد يا بغدادي مدد 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 يا سيدي مدد مدد يا رسول الله مدد يا إسماعيل مدد يا حسن محمد مدد يا راغي مدد يا هموكي مدد يا صغوري مدد يا مدني مدد 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 يا سيدي مدد مدد يا رسول الله مدد يا شرف الدين مدد يا الأولياء مدد يا داغستاني مدد يا مولاي مدد يا مرشدي مدد يا حقاني مدد 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 يا سيدي مدد مدد يا رسول الله مدد 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 يا سيدي مدد مدد يا رسول الله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم अक्सर लोग सैयदना यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम ने खूबसूरतियाँ जिक्र करने सैयदना यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम बेशक बहुत ही खूबसूरत इंसान है ज़ाहिरी हुस्न के अलावा उन्होंने बातिनी हुस्न बहुत अल्लाह ताला उनकी अंदरूनी खूबसूरती भी बनाए फरमाए कई बंदे ज़ाहिर में बड़े खूबसूरत होने लेकिन करतूत में जानना बहुत घटिया किस्म के इंसान लेकिन सैयद यूसुफ अलैहिस्सलाम इनके अल्लाह ताला ज़ाहिरी और बातिनी खूबसूरती बनाए Allah Ta'ala Hasan and Barakat. One day, some companions came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam And they said, Ya Rasul, who is the best of people? The Rasul said, Yusuf, Ibn Nabi, Ibn Nabi, Ibn Nabi. Sayyiduna Yusuf Islam is the only prophet, the 4 generations are prophets. He is a prophet, his father is a prophet, his grandfather is a prophet, great-grandfather is a prophet. Sayyidina Yusuf's name means blessing, barakah. And there were 12 brothers, and the father is Sayyidina Yaqub alayhi salam. They had sisters as well. And the Quranic story, we're not going to go into the story because it's too long to cover such a short session, about summary of the key points. One of the issues in the Quran is brotherly jealousy. Like you have Waqas and Dr. Maj, them kind of jealousy. Who could be potential, Liverpool player. So brotherly jealousy, this is common as all as human beings. The first murder that took place was between 2 brothers. The first killing that took place was between jealousy between brothers. The innocent one always wins. The guilty one never wins. So in this story, Sayyidina Yusuf Islam, he's the innocent one. And the other brothers, 10 of them, one of them was not involved in this, Yamin. Then they try to change qadr. They try to change destiny. You can't change destiny. What Allah has granted someone, you can't take away from him. What Allah has given you, you can't take it. So Allah chose Yusuf alayhi salam, and he had a dream when he was a young boy, probably 10, in which he saw 11 stars, the sun and the moon, prostrating to him. And he asked his father, what does this dream mean? Now the father didn't say what he meant, but he said, my son, don't tell this dream to your brothers. This will make them even more jealous, and they will plot against you. But the brothers did find out this dream, and then they tried to kill Yusuf alayhi salam. Did not succeed, and they ended up throwing him in a well. And from there, he was pulled out of the well by this caravan, which was going to Egypt. So these brothers sold their own brother Yusuf as a slave for a few coins to get rid of him. And what they wanted is to be dear to their father. They thought their father was being unjust. And this is another story in every household. The average kid thinks my father or my mother are there being unjust because they love so and so more. And like they say in English, wait till you become a parent. Yeah? And then do you choose between your children? Now, I know you guys don't watch anything sensible, but there's a movie called Shack, where a person has to make a choice between which of his children does he lose. He's given an option. The one can live and one can die. Yeah? I'm not going to spoil the ending for you. But so this is the same story. Everybody feels. So these brothers thought their father was being unjust. He loved Yusuf more than us. So they tried to get rid of him and sold him as a slave. And Yusuf Islam, as a young boy, sent what's the line of a slave? What freedom are you going to get as a slave? What future are you going to have as a slave? Ask the black people. Still crying about lives matter. By Yusuf as-salam, what you see in them, this is what I'm saying, the inner beauty. You don't see them more at any stage. The brothers do this to them, but they don't curse them. They throw them in the well, sell them as a slave, and then they are taken to Egypt because they're originally from Syria. And all this time, they go through all this trial tribulation, and the biggest thing they have is they love, dearly love their father. And this hurts them more than anything else. And they separate from the beloved father. So they take him to Egypt in the bazaar, and then people come and bid for them. And one wealthy family, they pay the highest price, and they buy him. And the husband and wife said, we will adopt him as our son, or we will use him as a slave, as a servant in the house. So this very wealthy family takes him home. So he has a home, he has food to eat, but he's separated from his father, separated from his family, he's in a foreign land. What are the chances of him becoming anything? Zero. Yeah? But this is Allah's plan, not human plan. So later, the same youth, he becomes source of attraction for the lady in the house and other women, because of immense beauty which Allah had granted him. And sometimes beauty becomes a curse. And this was happening in Yusuf's time. So when women were chasing him, he prayed to Allah that I prefer prison to rather than obeying what they want me to do in the sinful act. And they were sent to prison without any charge, innocent. And in the prison, they had such impact on people inside the prison that converted many of them into Islam. That they were pagans, those people. Two young guys came with two different dreams, and they related the dreams, and Yusuf sat them down and said, before the food arrives, I will have the interpretation. And before that, they told them about Islam, about the deen of Ibrahim al-Salam, to believe in one God, life after death, always. They converted these two people. Then they gave them interpretation. One that you will be freed, the other that you will be crucified. And it happened as they interpreted. Then later the Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt. Now this is the title, it's not a name. Pharaoh is used for the king of Egypt. So at that time, whoever was the ruler, he had a dream about 7 cows, 7 fat cows being eaten by 7 skinny cows. And nobody knows the interpretation. And then this guy remembers the one was freed, and he comes to Yusuf from the prison, relates the dream, and they gave interpretation, what he means. And now they have got a position, the ear of the ruler of the time, and they're summoned to the court, and then the first thing they do is to clear the name. So all the women are brought, the false accusation against them is withdrawn, and the lady admits, they admit that it's their fault, he's innocent of all blame. And Sayyiduna Yusuf Islam, they don't pride in that, they don't make arrogant statements. I told you so. No, they said, I do not claim that I'm pure from sin. That my sin does not go towards evil. They said the only reason I want this is that I did not want my master, the person who brought me up, to think that I mistreated his wife in his absence, because that would be disloyalty. In Pakistan, you don't have the word disloyalty in there. You know, they'll stab anybody in the back, you know, for free. But they're not prophets, are they? So Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, clear that, they're given a position of high authority, and then the brothers who wanted to kill them, they're at the mercy of Yusuf alayhi salam. They come from Syria, bring some begging for grain, and they don't recognize Yusuf alayhi salam because they think Yusuf alayhi salam must have been gone ages ago. And Yusuf alayhi salam recognize the brothers, treat them well, don't show any hatred. And it's a long story. Finally, after many visits, the brothers, they're informed that Yusuf said, I'm Yusuf. So now the brothers, they're expecting a big punishment. That the brother we threw in the well, we tried to kill, the one who sold into slavery, now he's in position of authority, what's he going to do with us? So Yusuf said, La taslim alaykum al-yawm. This is the same ayah that Rasul read when they went to Makkah, when they conquered Makkah. And the people came to them who had attacked them personally and their family and harmed them. They come saying, what will you do to us, O our brother Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And they said, I will say what Yusuf said to his brothers. La tasrib alaykum al-yawm. This is the character side. Nobody in that position would not want to revenge, vendetta. Now they are my mercy, I take full revenge for all that, you know, what you said, I'm not that. So then, this is one story that has a happy ending, because you all like happy endings. So in the dream they had in the beginning, 11 stars, sun in the moon, represents 11 brothers, son and moon father, and the Khala, the mother had passed away. They come and meet them, so after a long time, father and son are united, and then Yusuf son gives shukr to Allah for all the favors that Allah has bestowed upon them. Then they make the dua that is read in the beginning of dhikr. This is dua saying Yusuf. So the story doesn't end there. Because Yusuf salam, they appear in a lot of Sufi literature, waqis, because they are not something in history like the Jews and Christian think, but they are part of our present day as well. So one of the waqia is with the Khatam of Mirabik, and Mirabik saw a dream in the Rasul's majlis, and Sayyidina Yusuf was there. So Sayyidina Yusuf had requested Rasul that they want to meet Mirabik. Mirabik, the theme of the Khatam was loyalty, very loyal to his Shaykh. And they had just come just to meet him. And then another waqia of the Khatam Shaykh, the Nun Misri, and there a young man called Yusuf bin Hussein, he was looking for a Shaykh, and he was also very handsome, right? And then a princess tried to tempt him, and he ran away. And then that night, he again saw Sayyidina Yusuf in the dream, and they said, I have been ordered by Allah to come and compliment you, that Allah is so proud of you for avoiding this sin. So he sent me today. And then he said, I'm looking for a Shaykh. So Yusuf said, go to Egypt, your Shaykh is Shaykh in Misri. So even present day, people see them in dreams, yeah, people see them in visions. So it is like endless grace, you know. Any prophet of Allah, they are not history. Rasulullah said, this earth does not consume the body of any Prophet of Allah. It's around on the earth. They are alive, and both physically and spiritually, and they're accessible. So Sayyiduna Yusuf, some qualities, some of these are highlighted, and there are many other qualities. And they're a role model when people talk about, you don't know this word in English, chastity, yeah, or purity, or remaining pure, not getting up to no good, yeah, involvement. That Sayyidina Yusuf is always mentioned in Waqias as a person who safeguarded his honor despite all his temptations. May Allah guide us, protect us, and grant us barakah of Sayyidina Yusuf.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم يا قاضي الحاجات بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم يا كافي المهمات بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم يا رافع الدرجات بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم يا حل المشكلات بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم يا دافع البليات بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم يا شافي الأمراض بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم يا مسبب الأسباب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم يا مجيب الدعوات بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم يا أرحم الراحمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل 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 نعم المولى ونعم النصير بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله يا عمي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله على حبيبه سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله على حبيبه سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله على حبيبه سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وآله أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون وإلهكم إله واحد لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا وأخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر ولله الحمد
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Make dua for Sayyiduna Yusuf alayhi salam, Ibn Sayyidina Yaqub alayhi salam, Ibn Sayyidina Ishaq alayhi salam, Ibn Sayyidina Ibrahim Khalilullah alayhi salam. La shafin Nabi sallallahu